I was recently in beautiful Marrakesh, and on my flight over there, a miracle happened. An actual bona fide miracle. I was upgraded. It just happened. But those of you who fly even reasonably regularly will appreciate just how rare that is, because it doesn't just happen. And it got me thinking. There's a lot of nonsense floating around out there about getting an upgrade, how to do it. And this nonsense has been floating around for decades. Well, we've been around for nearly a decade, so it feels like the right time to talk about the real ways you can get upgraded on your next flight. Actually, you know what? Let's just cut to the chase. We'll make this a nice short video. I am going to give you the absolute foolproof, never fails way to get an upgrade. And this is gleaned from decades in and around the airline business and nearly 2 million miles of travel. You ready? It's my little secret. Write this down. The best way to get an upgrade. Pay. Yes, curse me under your breath, but it's true. The only way to guarantee a seat in the pointy end of the airplane is to pay. Everything else I'm about to tell you is the whim of fortune and algorithms. Some of you might see that as a little bit glib, but hear me out. There are ways to pay for an upgrade that are nowhere near as expensive as paying the fare difference between the cabin you're in and the cabin you want to be in. In my personal experience, the best hit rate I've had is airport upgrades. Now, not every airline does this. For example, British Airways does, but American Airlines doesn't. But approaching the check-in counter and asking if they're doing any paid upgrades can get you in a comfy seat for a fraction of the cost of a business or first class ticket. I often see airlines actively promoting these special offers at check-in too, so it never hurts to ask. And the great thing about this method is that you often will get the tier points and frequent flyer points for your upgraded cabin, something you won't always get with the other methods we're going to cover. Frequent flyers on sites like FlyerTalk often post the prices that they are seeing being offered at airport upgrades for specific routes, so you could research ahead of time and at least get a ballpark idea of what you might expect to pay to upgrade your flight. In a similar vein, many airlines will do proactive online upgrades. What the hell is that? Well, these are upgrade offers that appear in the Manage My Booking pages on airline websites. You go in to change your seat or add a bag or whatever, and hey presto, there's an upgrade offer. There's no notification, there's no email, it's just there. And on British Airways at least, the price fluctuates up and down as you get closer to your departure date. Now, sometimes they are a hell of a deal. Other times, they're a complete joke, but it's worth keeping an eye on those Manage My Booking pages and at least learning where your airline might put those upgrade offers on the Manage My Booking page. Again, people track these and post them on FlyerTalk and similar sites, so you can set your expectations of what's good value. Hey friends, this episode is brought to you by one of the few mobile games I actually play, Train Station 2. I spend a lot of time in airports, on planes, and rather appropriately on trains, and Train Station 2 is a fantastic way to pass the time no matter where I am. There's a few reasons I love this game. Firstly, it's free, and what's not to love about that? Secondly, it's a lot of fun. You get to build and upgrade your station, collect epic trains to add to your collection, and complete jobs all over the world. Every month there are special events where you can collect unique trains, buildings, and rewards too. So what are you waiting for? Go to the video description, click on our exclusive special link, or use my exclusive code ATTACHE, and you will instantly get 10 free gems, which is a huge head start in building your train empire. And hey, if you already play Train Station 2, let me know in the comments below. Maybe even share what level you're on, because you know what they say, life is better with trains. Operational upgrades. Airlines oversell flights, almost always, and it's fine, it kind of makes sense. On any given flight, a percentage of passengers won't show up for whatever reason, so the airline uses historical no-show data to predict that percentage per flight and sell more seats than they actually have on the airplane. Usually not a problem. But every now and then, everyone actually shows up. So what do? Before they start offloading people, like kicking people off the flight, which is the last thing they want to do, they'll upgrade people to the next cabin to free up seats in that cabin, usually economy because there's just more seats so they can get more people on. What they don't do is look around the departure lounge and go, you. Now, I wish it worked that way, but it doesn't. Unfortunately, in many cases, it's way more complicated than that. Many airlines use complex algorithms that factor in the type of fare you booked, your status with the airline, your status with the alliance, your star sign, your blood type. Okay, I made up those last two, but the rest are true. And it's an opaque and inconsistent criteria. Bottom line is, right person, right place, right time. Impossible to predict, impossible to engineer. In the US, status gets you upgraded with far more regularity than anywhere else in the world. Generally, if there are seats in the pointy end, people with top status will get upgraded. But status is also a convoluted and complex process in the US, and there will seemingly always be people ahead of you in the queue, so I wouldn't hold your breath for a status upgrade on a regular basis. Bidding. A growing number of airlines use third-party platforms like Plusgrade to allow you to bid on an upgrade. After you book your flight, you'll get an email inviting you to go to Plusgrade and bid on an upgrade. You'll see a price range for upgrading each leg of your journey, and the site will often show you the likelihood of your bid being accepted. Often, even the lowest possible bidding price is way too expensive and super not worth it. But on particularly empty flights, there are definitely deals to be had. Few things to bear in mind though. You need to submit your credit card information when you make your bid, not when your bid is accepted, and it will be automatically charged if your bid is accepted, usually 2 to 3 days before your flight. And crucially, the upgrade applies to everyone on your booking, not just you. So make sure you really like the person you're traveling with before you submit your bid. Points and miles. Okay, this is a complicated subject. There are people who obsess over this stuff, and there are websites and forums and subreddits and mailing lists all dedicated to this murky art. Now, we're not going to get into the weeds on this one. It's way too complicated, but in certain circumstances, on certain flights to certain destinations with certain airlines, upgrading with points can represent great value. Unfortunately, there is no rule of thumb. There's no catch-all for what is good value and what is not. But there are a few things to always be aware of. The first one, don't book a super cheap economy fare and assume that you'll be able to upgrade. Many airlines limit upgrading with miles to certain pricier match fare buckets. They will often also only let you upgrade to the next available cabin. So if you're in economy, you can only upgrade to premium economy, not business or first. And finally, and most importantly, watch out for those taxes and fees. On a lot of routes, if you upgrade with miles, you'll also be liable for the taxes and fees associated with the new cabin you're in. In many instances, those can be hundreds of dollars or pounds or euros. So what you thought was a phenomenal deal on an upgrade to business or first is actually not too far from the price you paid for a airport upgrade or a proactive online upgrade. So make sure you factor those in before you hit that buy button. Before we finish, here are some ways that won't get you upgraded. Dressing nicely. Maybe 30 or 40 years ago this was a thing, but it's certainly not anymore. Just look around any premium cabin these days and you'll see what I mean. I've also heard it suggested that not picking your seat ahead of time increases your chances of an upgrade. Not true. As we talked about, there's a process for most upgrades, and whether or not you have a seat is not part of that process. Giving cash to a check-in agent or cabin crew member will also not get you upgraded, but it's a great way to look like a sleazebag. Moreover, these days cabin crews are rarely authorized to give upgrades, and if they do, it comes with a ton of paperwork. Airlines would rather find a way to get people to pay for those cushy seats and not give them away for free. And finally, And perhaps most disturbingly, it's been suggested that throwing a fit might result in an upgrade. Nope, it'll most likely result in you getting kicked off the flight, so don't even try it. So those are just a few of the ways that you can move from the cheap seats to the pointy end of the airplane for relatively good value. Unfortunately, there's no silver bullet for any of these methods. You just got to try them out. Keep your eyes open. Look for those proactive online upgrades. Ask at the check-in desk if they're doing any paid upgrades with the information in mind that you glean from Fire Talk of what actually represents good value. And hey, if you've had a phenomenal upgrade experience or you've got a great tip for how to go from one cabin to the next, I know I'd love to hear it, and I know everybody watching would love to hear it as well. So please leave it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.